So, good evening. It's already good night from Vienna. This is Amir Tsarfati. I wanted to give you a very, very short, special Middle East current event update, and that is regarding the effect of the Singapore summit between President Trump and Chairman Kim on the Middle East. That effect is already being felt, and I thought that you should know. First of all, to give you a quick update, Israel over the last 48 hours dealt with two different fronts. One, we once again destroyed a surface-to-surface missile storage in Syria, area that or a storage that was owned by Iran, and those rockets were part of the Hezbollah thing. They did not admit that we did anything, which is good. I don't think they want to have that burden of having to somehow revenge. They are so broke. They are so confused. They are so humiliated. At this point, they really don't want to deal with that one. But another very, very surprising thing that happened today was that Israeli drones and later on jets attacked several terrorist targets in the Sinai Peninsula. Believe it or not, the reports are that we're helping the Egyptian army there, and we're not the only military that sends forces. Apparently, the military of Bahrain sent something. This is quite remarkable. Think about it. Israel and Bahrain are helping Egypt fighting Muslim terrorists. These are the last days, definitely. I mean, if you really think about it. So these are two things that happen in our neighborhood, but let's talk a little bit about the Trump-Kim summit and what happened. In the background of the successful meeting between the two leaders, we already heard two things. One, that the U.S. ambassador to Israel, David Friedman, was called back to Washington. And the second is that Jared Kushner is about to come to Israel and Saudi Arabia. And this is the thing. Very encouraged with what happened in the Singapore summit. President Trump decided that this is the time for him to deal with the Middle East. He promised that there will be an ultimate deal, the deal of the millennium. He promised that it's going to be much bigger than what people think. And from what I know, this is what we're going to see. First of all, I believe that they're going to try and change the order in which things are being done. I believe that there's going to be a proposal for Israel to have relations with Saudi Arabia and Bahrain and maybe even the United Arab Emirates. And the idea is to somehow ignite the peace process by showing that there is peace between Sunni Muslims and the Jewish state of Israel. And that is in order to push the Palestinians to make some concessions, because one thing is for sure, one thing is very, very clear. From what I know and from the little that was leaked from the documents that are running between Washington, Jerusalem, and Riyadh, the Palestinians are going to get probably the worst deal they ever got in the last 20 years. If you think about it, Yitzhak Rabin in 1994 was engaged in a process called the Oslo Accord that eventually was supposed to give the Palestinians nearly 100% of the West Bank. In other words, even Jerusalem was on the table, and the old city of Jerusalem, including the Temple Mount, not to mention other issues that over the past years Israel realized are not even something we are able to consider. From what I understand, the American administration is going to offer the two sides the following thing. The Palestinians will receive immediately control over the 50% of the West Bank. No Israeli town or large settlement in the West Bank will have to be evacuated. Palestinian capital will be Abu Dis, which is a neighborhood east of Jerusalem, not part of Jerusalem of today. It's in the West Bank. It's something that Israel controlled even in the military government in the 1990s already, when I was still there. It was never considered part of Jerusalem. There's a wall between that part and Jerusalem. And the Palestinians will have to also agree that they have no weapon and that's the end of the conflict. Needless to say that I don't believe that they will accept it. But if you really think about it, since the Saudis and maybe the Bahrainians and the United Emirates, since they're already going to have some sort of a peace with Israel, the Palestinians will probably turn to the axis of evil. And that is, of course, Iran and Turkey and also Russia. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that when Russia is bleeding financially and the Turks are bleeding financially, and of course the Iranians are really bleeding financially right now, the Palestinians might be a good excuse to somehow come and settle the score with Israel. Not to mention the fact that we have another issue that is really, really burning right now. What will Kim Jong-un is going to do with his nuclear weapon? I told you in the last report that in a very strange manner, ever since Donald J. Trump decided to meet with Kim Jong-un, suddenly both the Russians and the Syrians are showing a great interest in meeting with the North Korean leader. And you know, and I know that the North Koreans helped, not just helped, built a nuclear reactor for the Syrians, a reactor that Israel destroyed in 2007. And I'm just wondering, you see, I don't trust Kim Jong-un. I mean, with all the respect, I would love to see peace in the Korean Peninsula, but I don't trust the man. I never did, and I don't think I will ever do, but I'm pretty sure that he wants to denuclearize. The question is, who will he give those weapons? Or maybe who will he sell those weapons to? And I'm wondering if Syria is not going to be part of this whole thing. And I'm wondering if that's not going to be maybe the reason why Damascus might be destroyed. You never know. One thing is for sure. What happened in Korea is going to greatly affect the Middle East, not only when it comes to maybe a weapon that might come our way, but mostly with the very, very heavy pressure that we're going to have shortly on the Middle East as a result of the Trump ultimate deal, both to the Israelis and the Palestinians. As I said before, both David Friedman, the ambassador to Israel, is now in the U.S., and Jared Kushner is almost making his way to Saudi Arabia and to Israel. They are wrapping up right now a deal that Israel is not going to like, but we trust that the Palestinians will not like it even more. And as always, they are going to say no. But this time it's going to hurt even more. See, Hamas failed. We don't have almost anything anymore. They realized everything they did in the Gaza Strip is just not working. Hamas failed big time. The Palestinians realized that really America is not on our side right now, and they cannot torture Israel in the UN because America is not going to allow that to happen. America, by the way, changed completely its policy. It's no longer just defending Israel in the UN by vetoing any anti-Israeli resolution, but America is going to actively punish countries that are unjust or unrightfully going to come against Israel for nothing. America just announced that they're not going to allow almost 200 nations to treat one country in such disrespect and in an unfair manner non-stop. America is going to use its financial position as a leverage or maybe as a weapon to threaten those countries that are always doing that to us. And they're basically, America decided, we're going to tell them, if you're going to continue behaving like that in the UN, you're not going to have business with America. And many of them are going to think twice before they do that. So we see definitely a great change, a wonderful change, it's a natural continuation to this unbelievable administration that we have right now in the U.S. I know that people will immediately attack Donald Trump for offering that peace deal, but let me explain something. I believe, and I said that so many times, and you know that, I believe that President Trump knows that the Palestinians are not really interested in having any deal with Israel at the moment. He understands that. He understands that people who want peace with Israel cannot sponsor families of terrorists. It doesn't go together. He also understands that no matter what he's going to offer the Palestinians, they will say no because they will never get what they want. Jerusalem is the number one problem. Jerusalem is never going to be their capital. The minute the United States recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, basically it is not recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of any other country or any other future state. The Palestinians also understand that the Saudis are not going to fight for them or lie on the ground for them. The Palestinians understand that Egypt and Jordan are also not going to just fight for them. They have their own problems right now. The king of Jordan is facing a very, very big challenge right now. He did get the $2.5 billion aid from Saudi Arabia, as I reported earlier. But the problem is that the opposition towards the king is now not only for financial reasons. The Bedouins themselves, who were the loyalists, those on whom he could lean and trust, even they themselves are coming against him right now, which is quite remarkable. So we have that, and then so they have their own problems, and the Egyptians have their problems as well, and so the Palestinians will really have a hard time right now because the only countries that will vow to fight for them and to stand for their rights will be Turkey and also Iran. So we're going to see a very, very, very interesting thing happening as the peace plan of President Trump is going to be on the table very soon. I will not run and jump to any conclusion that Trump is going to divide Israel or divide Jerusalem and all of that. Every U.S. administration is trying to bring about a peace deal between the Palestinians and the Israelis. In fact, the first administration that is not using the mantra Palestinian state and two states for two people is the current administration. President Trump did not say anywhere that it's absolutely the only solution. He says, in fact, you guys can call it whatever you want, a state, some sort of autonomy, some sort of I don't know, some political creature that call it whatever you want. He said, it's for the two sides to decide what it is. And he even said that one state, two states, three states, it's up to the parties to figure out. President Trump also is determined not, after he recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, not to give the holy sites of the Jewish people, such as the Western Wall, to Palestinian control. Something, by the way, that Bill Clinton considered doing and Barack Obama considered doing. So we must understand that alongside with the effort to bring about a solution, we must not forget that this type of solution, A, will be immediately rejected by the Palestinians, B, at least will serve the president in saying, I tried, I did my best, and if they don't want it, then that's okay, that's their problem. But what I think that we need to also think about is this. President Trump wants to make America great again. And one of the things he said in the press conference right after the summit with Chairman Kim was that the U.S. will stop its war games together with South Korea, A, because they're provocative, which is true. I mean, you're shooting thousands of rockets and explosions right in front of the other country, and the other country knows that it's all about a fight against them. Then he says, look, if we talk peace with them, we cannot do that right to their face. But then he said something else. He said the cost of those war games is enormous. To fly all of those B-12s from Guam, it costs too much money. To leave more than 200,000 U.S. soldiers in the Korean Peninsula is super expensive. Basically what he said is this: I was elected to recover America and America's economy and America's military. I'll do whatever it takes to minimize the American presence in areas that we have no interest in. So I think that the South Koreans and the Japanese are a little bit nervous after this summit, and they're nervous because they're not sure where it's going to lead. Israel is not nervous because Israel already is preparing to face the next war all by ourselves. And remember, Ezekiel is very clear about the fact that that war will be won only because God is going to supernaturally intervene and win the war for Israel. And so the nations will know that He is God. So side by side with the peace plans, we see also the American efficiency in cutting all the things that can be cut and needs to be cut for the sake of the rising American economy. So Israel understands we're all alone when it comes to facing the enemy. We might get weapons from America. We might get some assistance when it comes to equipment. But I don't believe that President Trump wants to see thousands of American soldiers on the ground fighting once again in the Middle East. And that's basically what's going on. By the way, in Syria right now, just so you know, ISIS is regaining control over several areas. The Russians are extremely tired. The Iranians are broke, and we can see that that ISIS is taking advantage of it, and they just come out of nowhere, hit the Syrian army, and then go back to the desert. And they caused the Syrians, the Russians, and all the other forces. There are so many casualties over the last few days. There were some fake reports recently on Israel calling thousands of reserve soldiers, fake reports on preparation for an immediate war, fake reports on so many issues, such as a missile that was supposed to hit President Trump and all that. I need you to understand there's so many crazy people online right now, and irresponsible teachers that are spreading rumors that are baseless. Trust me, everybody will know if Israel is calling reservists by the thousands. We did have a surprise drill, which I reported a few days ago, but that's it. It's something that Israel, in its highest level of military command, planned. But of course, the regular soldiers, they did not know about that. And the idea is to surprise them, so to see how they behave when a war is breaking out and they are called immediately to return to their units. That's all. To say that thousands of Israeli soldiers are called to reserve duty and they are moving forces in the north, it's irresponsible and it's not true. Of course, the region is bracing for the expected Syrian assault on the southern part of Syria, but I don't think Israel is going to allow anything that might jeopardize its security to happen. I think everybody knows that. We made it very clear, and I don't think it is going to happen. So it's a very fragile area, and as I said, because things were going on very well in the Korean Peninsula, President Trump is very, very determined right now to ignite and push for some sort of movement in the Israeli Arab on the Israeli Arab axis right now. Again, Kushner is on his way to Saudi Arabia and Jerusalem. The ambassador of America to Israel, David Friedman, was called back to Washington, and they're talking about several things. We may not like everything, but I can tell you one thing: the Palestinians will surely not like what they're going to see on the paper, and the Saudis are being called to the scene to push the Palestinians. And if the Palestinians are going to continue saying no, the Saudis will say, well, then we're going to have peace with Israel, or at least normalize the relationship with Israel, and we're not going to wait for you. You're not going to hold us hostage when we need Israel right now in the battle against Iran. So very, very interesting things happening. I believe that the North Korean American summit is reigniting the Middle East peace process. And I believe that the ultimate deal will be shortly put on the table. And I believe that that will cause a lot of frustration, mostly from the side of the Palestinians. Jerusalem, once again, is going to be a big problem because it will not be given to them, and they will demand it, and they will definitely call other Muslims to come and help them, such as Turkey and Iran. Very, very interesting things are ahead of us, and keep your eyes up, because we are definitely seeing amazing things. I'm dressed like that and I'm tired like that because I just finished 3 hours of preaching and teaching in a church. More than 1,000 people showed up from Italy and from Germany, and of course from Austria, and from Romania. People came, and the people of God are hungry for the Word of God. And it is so encouraging to see a lot of young people. And I want to tell you one thing. We just got done with our young adults tour, where 50 people from 6 different continents came. We're expanding our young adults ministry right now. We just opened a Facebook page, Behold Israel Young Adults. We're going to next year have 2 buses, and we're going to add the Petra and the Red Sea to the young adults tour. I want to tell you that we have great news. Someone, the father of several or of a couple people that were on this tour, saw how his daughters were greatly affected by it, and the lives really changed. And he decided that he wants to sponsor 10 young adults for the next tour. We're hoping for more things like that because we want to bring many, many people who cannot afford to be on those tours. We want to influence this young generation. We want to take them out of their computer screens and cell phone screens, and we want them to see the land. We want them to behold Israel, and we're so excited about this thing. Another exciting news, Behold Israel is going to be on his channel, the online Christian TV. We're going to air our first program on June 22nd, and I am so excited about that. His channel actually contacted us. They wanted us to be there, and we of course agreed. You don't say no to such thing, and we are so thankful. And beyond that, I also want you to know that I think we talked about the online store that our supplier opened for people who want to buy some of our logo products. As I said before, guys, we're not selling anything as a ministry. We're a non-profit. We are not dealing with merchandise. But the supplier from where we buy our shirts and hats and jackets to our own staff, he graciously accepted our request, and he opened a website called beholdisraelstore.com, and we just have all the logo merchandise there, including, by the way, bumper stickers that says I am a watchman. It's very, very beautiful. We designed them, and now you can actually get them. These are bumper stickers. I am a watchman from Ezekiel, and our logo is there, and that's great to see that when you drive, that you're not the only watchman. You see other people, watchmen as well. So again, that's not our store. We're not operating it, but we're definitely benefiting from it because that guy said that part of his profit he's going to donate to the ministry. So we're very grateful to him for doing that. BeholdIsraelStore.com. The young adults Facebook page is Behold Israel Young Adults, and very shortly we're going to give you the brochure of that next year's tour and the cost and everything. And hurry up, the space is limited to 2 buses only for 2019. 2020, if we're still here, I would like to have a 5 buses tour. We want to do a mini young adults conference. We're going to bring Israeli worship teams to worship with the young adults every evening. We're going to do Bible teachings every day, and we want to affect that generation and send them back home with their lives changed. So thank you again for everything. Thank you for praying for me. I'm here in Vienna, Austria. I'm going to continue to Romania. I'll be in Portugal later on this month, and in July, I will be in Japan and Australia and New Zealand as well. In September, I'll be in South Africa, Canada, and America. And I could really, really use your prayers. So I thank you very much. And let's finish this broadcast with a prayer. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka, Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. The Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord shine his face towards you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance towards you and give you peace. He gives you his shalom, that peace that surpasses all understanding, that only the Prince of Peace and the Lord of Peace